Hi, I'm David, or sad_David, and I'm submitting Limbo to this year's SGDQ. I'm excited to share my passion and insight on one of the most carefully crafted games I've ever played. I'm commentating over an old PB of mine because it shows off a lot of safe strats that I'd use in a speedrun marathon. Time starts when I hit start game, so let's do this. Oddly enough, we start the game when we hit start game, and not like other games where you gain control of the character. And that's because we just passed it, but before the boy opens his eyes, we have to mash buttons to wake him up, or else he'll just lay there forever. So the story goes, and we don't know anything, it's just a boy waking up in the middle of a black and white forest, and all we know is he's in limbo, and we're supposed to move forward. So you see me jumping here, and that's not for show. It's actually because jumping, which is around 4 or 5 steps, it's actually faster than if I just walked those steps out. So I'm always doing a jump, a full step, and then another jump when I can. So this is just like an introduction to the game. No real chance of running into trouble here. I'm exiting the forest just to cross a body of water on a boat. I'm messing around. There's a better strat that I'll probably use, where you run down the boat, jump back over, and use the boy like a battery ram to sort of propel the boat forward. Here I'm just messing around. And then we'll pull the boat and re-enter the forest. As for RNG in this game, there's only a few distinct cases. Falling behind, it's really because of bad movement or getting in your own head, and we don't see RNG at all until about 20 minutes in. So around here is the bear trap, and that's going to be the first place where many runners die and have to restart if they're speedrunning. You can't walk into them, but you can move them and use it as a trap for other things, just like that, and later on. And I'll talk about Playdead a bit. They're the company that built Limbo into what it is, and it was a very successful game, and they were able to make Inside, which they released last year because of how successful Limbo was. Limbo was released in 2010, Inside just last year, so 2016. Here we're coming into what for the past 6 months have given runners a lot of anguish, and that's tree skip, which I'm not doing. If you did it, you would use the box to jump over that pond, which is about 10% on a good day. But instead, you'll get to see me climb the tree, which is cool, and I think it's a lot more fun. About me a little more, I hold world record in all 3 of the main categories in this game, and that'd be normal route, which is what I'm showcasing here, and it's a classic. It's my favorite. It's just completing the game as it's intended. Real quick for our next act, let me introduce you to the spider. A very menacing creature, very unrelenting, but I think you'll see that it's in a sorry sort of way. So I have a record in normal route and a world record in 9 eggs, which is if you complete a normal route but you want to play it again and get all the achievements. There are hidden eggs around the map of the game, 9 of them as the title suggests, and that's a 9 eggs route. And after you get all the achievements, a hard route opens up, and that's my 3rd record. It's an underground passage that allows you to complete the game in a lot shorter amount of time. And then there's one more category, 100%, and that's basically a 9 eggs run with a hard route included, which I've held off for the future. So back to the game. I've escaped the spider, I've entered a cave, and I'm exiting the cave. Oh, but I get stuck. Forgot about that. The spider, he could kill me, but I think he's full and just gonna leave me for a snack. So wiggling here, I'm just going left, right on my keyboard as fast as I can. Sort of a rhythm to it. Some of these puzzles are very rhythm based. If you practice the muscle memory, you'll get it down. And here I'm a runaway captive. Not really running, but hopping away at breakneck pace from the very neglectful spider. Not the first time we'll outsmart him here. I'm looking at the game as a whole. There's really a lot of ways to solve each puzzle. A lot of room for creativity, and that I think I like that because it leads to faster ways to solve it. Little optimizations, which are still being found thanks to our dedicated community. And I'm proud to say that the community, it's alive now more than it has ever been. And that's really cool. We have a Discord set up. You know, we talk every day. And we're really willing to help. That's what I like a lot about it. If a new runner comes in, everyone's so nice there. And even among like runners who are competing against each other, we'll share strats, and you know, we're not afraid to help each other succeed. So it's a very unselfish, an awesome community that I'm proud to be a part of. So we escaped the little web wrapping that we all call the cocoon, and you'll see me approaching the first skip called Bear Trap Skip, and I did it. A very quick skip. Ultimately, you can clear the bear trap and reach the ledge in one very easy jump. Jumping, climbing, then jumping again. Intimidating, but when you get it down, it's pretty easy. And here's like an American Ninja obstacle course sort of thing, where it's like, I guess sadly, like a deforested area. But we're past it now, so no worries. And this might look familiar, but it's a fake spider leg, which is a good introduction to the bullies. As you see that little guy running off, you see the fake leg, and then you see the guy who's operating it, and then you're like, wait a second, they're making fun of me. And here they're also trying to kill you. Usually you have to run all the way back to avoid the tire, but that was tire skip, where we can be brave and just jump at the tire and turn. And in the running community, if you get past the tire skip, the run is finally alive. So we have a live run going here, which is nice because I chose the run to commentate over. That's a little bit of optimized movement where you can catch the swinging bear trap, which keeps the rope still, climbing it sooner. It's not very safe, you probably won't see that again, but it's something I found and I like it a lot. So here our old pal is back. This is actually if you've ever played Inside, chase scenes are very common. This is like the original chase scene right here. Very slow. This is just chilling on a log because we need his leg to get up here. and ultimately try to escape once again. So he's lost yet another leg, first for the bear traps and now for the boulder. He can't have many legs left. But take my word for it, he's still here. Here's a nice, peaceful area. I always appreciate the soundtrack, and even running the game. I just love listening to the sounds of the game. And to the right was a little foreshadowing to the bullies to come, but we're not done with the spider yet, so... A squishy-rooney here, and then a squishy-rooney coming up. And that's why we called this split R.I.P. Spider. Cause you gotta feel bad for the guy. Here's maybe my favorite area of the game, called the crow box area. You have a nice little slide down here, but then you circle back to loosen up the box that the crow is on. And there's tons of ways to get this box down. I go to the left and jump on it, and then jump again. But there's more optimal ways, and you can surf the box down like that if you want. There's just tons of cool things you can do with the crow box. Boxes especially, they get a lot of attention from speedrunners to abuse, like the tree skip, which uses the box. I should mention, the boy can't swim at all. He's probably like 6 or 7. But, you know, a good thing, the dead bodies are floating, so we don't have to join him in the water. And here our friend has agreed to help us get past the tripwire. So thank you to him. You'll see those creatures again. They're our friends too. Yeah, they help us out. Alright, let me also introduce you to the Dart Squad. Their short-range game is impeccable, so this is an area, unlike the tire skip, where we do have to run away. You can't outsmart the Dart Squad. You have to let them outsmart themselves here. Wah, beautiful. I don't think I'd die in this run, but if I can brag for a second, I think I've died every possible death in this game. Just comes with the territory of being world champ, but at least dying doesn't faze me in this now, you know? Here's a unique puzzle with 2 pulleys, each connected to a rope, with their corresponding weights at the end. And I make it look really close when I run through it, but that's just through practice, that I know I'm not gonna die there. Even though the whole goal of the game is to bring the boy as close to death as possible without dying, so that's how you know it's optimized. And coming up here is a skip discovered by a French runner, Darth Colette, which I don't get, but it's where the worm gets eaten out of your head as you get down the slope, and then your first jump after that. It's very precise and very tough, and I don't really have time to explain all the small nuances of it, but saves about 10 seconds, and since then I've found a setup for it and usually get it every run. This was quite a few months before that. Let's get this little dude his mushroom. And then use him against his will to start the rain machine. Once again, not being very friendly to the animals, but I think that's Playdead's style. Unethical progress is still progress. And about that worm that I said, the brain worm, brain slug, worm that was in our brain, that's a unique set of puzzles you'll see later on too, where the boy is forced to go left until he hits a light source, and then he'll always switch direction right. And you have that brain worm in your head until it gets eaten off, so those creatures that are our friends, try to get to them as quickly as possible. But sometimes it takes minutes, as you'll find out. So with that brain worm in your head, it makes ordinary ladders, ordinary boxes, makes you look at them in a totally different perspective, since the direction you're traveling is controlled completely. Alright, so I've made it down the water slide. Yank on that sluice, the sluice gate there, and this is the first of many auto-scrollers in this. I don't know what this is, an underground sewer system, abandoned area. I like to call them water scrollers. I don't really mention that because I'm not a fan of bad puns. So I try to get up and off this cliff as soon as I can, because then that triggers the next auto-scroller into a tricky area for new players, where they don't know that you can slide this bad boy over and catch the buoy. But this is a section for speedrunners where I'd just be wiping the sweat off my hands and trying to calm down to go to the next few sections after this. So as you might notice, I'm submitting this by myself. It's a solo run of it, not a race. And there's three reasons mainly. One is, I can't say this enough, can I? I'm the world record holder. A 2 or 3 runner race would, I think, be quickly separated. The skill gap is too divided at the moment until all the other runners, they're still pretty good, but they need a chance to catch up on all the new skips and stuff. So even among elite runners, there's only really one other person who I'd like to race, Melee God, but he's French and halfway around the world, so. Another reason is, as I get stuck with the brainworm, I think it's better for the audience to only watch one screen, so I can show off and explain the technical movement better. Every jump, every step, every climb. I've spent hours on every section to try and optimize it. You don't get to being the best unless you're like crazy, and that was me in Limbo. I had to perfect everything, so I enjoy sharing with everyone like a half-second improvement that makes them roll their eyes, but it's a half second. And also, I want to give the viewers a chance to embrace the aesthetic of this game. And by the way, this is a good time as we wait for the pipe to come up. Bathroom break, make a sandwich, read a donation, take a lap around the house. But this is like, the halftime. And we're done. On to the next section. But with the aesthetic of this game, I still remember the first time I played it. Not knowing what was next, the mystery of it. And I went through an entire range of emotion playing through it, and, finally reaching that ending. And since this game is widely successful, I think 300 copies sold in the first month, and that was just for Xbox 360. I know other people felt something too. And it'd just be really cool to show how far this game had progressed since 2010. Here we see electricity. Not anymore, but electrocution, because we need a new reason to die. If you just jump on that H without waiting, it'll be right as the cycle ends, so that's a nice little convenient fact. And here you just focus on good climbs. You want him to land on his feet or on his belly. You don't want his arms to hang down at all. Very small things that add up quickly for time loss. And yeah, I'd never heard of Limbo till last year, actually. I thought it was a super tiny side project indie game. I didn't even know what indie stood for. But, it was free on Steam. I didn't even have Steam. I saw that Limbo was free and I needed Steam to get it. I'm like, oh, that looks cool. So I downloaded the Steam, got Limbo for free. And I gave it a shot, and I was just blown away. And also determined to get the achievement. The last achievement of the game. It's not a hidden egg, but it's finishing the game single segment, dying 5 times or fewer. An achievement like that is just a gateway into speedrunning it, so that's where I am today. Limbo itself, a 2D puzzle game. Very popular for marathons, you think. It's been in 2 big ones. SGDQ in 2011 originally, run by Feasel. From back in the Speed Demos archive days. You can't even find his time on speedrun.com. He finished the run in what would consider to be, by today's standards of timing, just over 46 minutes. And my current world record is 39:50. So that's 6 years, but just last year in 2016 in July, in ESA in Europe, there was a race between runners Zet and Yajiji. 2 very good runners. Zet's German, Yajiji's French. Unfortunately though, behind the scenes difficulties put a damper on the run, so I don't think we got to show the world, the full potential of the game. But on the bright side since then, the game has progressed so much, even without the super hard skip at the beginning of the game, even with safe strats. There's over a minute that's been chopped off this game. And over 5 world records set since ESA last year. And between you and me, they've all been mine, but don't tell anyone. Here's sort of what reminds me of an Indiana Jones don't look down sort of puzzle. I'm afraid of heights, so I'm glad I'm done with that. And I really like the vibe of this whole scene. When I had the brainworm, I could run by these puzzles, but I couldn't do anything with it because I couldn't change direction. So it's like the game design, it's kind of laughing at you. Like, this is what you'll be doing, but you can't do it yet. And the backgrounds, besides the sound, it's my favorite part of the game. When you see the camera zoom out, and you can see this like abandoned city or all these trees in the forest. I really love that. Sort of the artistic value of it. Even though I mainly speedrun it for the feel of the controls. And I really think I've perfected the jumping and stuff, and so it just feels natural to me to run this these days. This is the biggest rope in the game. That's a really fun fact. Needs 3 swings to get where you want to go. Pressure plates are pretty common. You've already seen a few. This is one of those tricky ones where if you mess up once and hit the first button, because you don't know what's going to happen, you die. So very common for a lot of puzzles to be trial and error, but for Limbo, it's going to be trial and death. But, you know, if you can restrain yourself from rage quitting, punching a hole in your screen, you learn a lot through your deaths. Death animations, I hope you don't see them, but they're super funny, but you learn a lot for how to get through the game. And you remember our friend the spider. Well, here's our friend the mosquito. Kind of the same fate with the squishy-rooney. But maybe he's one of those bugs who can grow his leg back. I really hope so. Anyway, here's no one's favorite section of the game, the tire factory. It is an introduction into the more technical side of the run, where the puzzles become more complex, the machines are bigger, the falls are higher. We're on the upper level of the tire factory. And all this work is just a free one box, just a little box from this like 3-story factory. And that's so we can just drag it over and hit the lever on the next, what we call the big gear. And you'll see it and you can't miss it. We call it the big gear because it's a big gear. So yeah, there's some time lost swag. And we got the box out. That's not the intended solution, but it's pretty cool that someone figured out that you can hang off the box and still climb up it. And this is sort of like a Where's Waldo scenario, like where's the big gear? But if you look on the bottom of the screen, you'll see the big gear. And then we try and meet the box, this box, and we get a nice stat going. One box is for the rising staircase thing. The others for the pressure plate. And then we're done with this section. But this theme is reoccurring where you need, you know, one piece of one puzzle to solve the next piece of the next puzzle. And that's really cool how this whole game is intertwined. And story-wise, you know, we're still going somewhere. We don't know where though. That's a pretty big gear too, but the teeth are kind of small. So yeah, the boy, he seems kind of calm for the whole world rotating, but this is definitely a wipe the sweat off my palms scenario, because this is going to be the hardest skip of the game coming up. It's called Alien Skip, discovered by French runner Alien Speed Gaming. And it's a skip of the Magnavox skip, which is a skip of the normal way to solve this puzzle. I would not be talking during the run if I was actually playing. But as you can see here, perfect movement, I can just squeeze under the closing gate. So this is like a heart rate monitor situation where I'm at like 200 beats a minute. I need to calm down, but thankfully we have a nice calm section of rotating saws and another rotating wheel. But we can still chill a bit with death at every corner. Alright, so we pass a boulder. Hopefully the world doesn't rotate again, or else it could, fall out and kill us. Ah. Well, that's not good. But I have a secret. We're not even going to see the boulder, because we're going to go lightning quick. There we go. Just a great composition of music here. Here we see what we're looking for, our sister. But we're tricked. We're not out of Limbo yet. And she looks really sad, probably like us at this point of the game. But we don't know why she's sad. And she doesn't notice us either, so is she real? I don't know. And this is the same area we were before. It's entirely replaced by this overly polluted, industrialized piston area. And this section has a total grind too, to steep into the run. We're gonna have to climb up those gears, and it feels like trying to ascend Mount Everest, because it's so easy to lose like 5 seconds. Just going straight up, it's brutal. Tiny little skip where I don't have to wait on my gear tooth there. And it looks like, based on the background, we're about to enter the mines of some sort. Have to pull that back so I don't get electrocuted when I go up there. And you can see me messing around with what I call the rolling ladder cart. And the rolling ladder cart changes speed as I climb it, as you can see here. And it really has too much physics going on, so I try not to think about it. Right, into the dark we go. Sort of another common theme of this game is the boy facing his childhood fears as we progress through Limbo. We have the spider, probably an exaggerated version of the child's memory of the spider he might have seen younger in his day. We see the bullies in the dark and big machines. Just common childhood fears. Fear of the unknown of what's ahead. But, I'll be brave enough for both of us here. We have what is called Dark Skip coming up appropriately. And dying here is the worst. We have to start all the way over here. But with the setup, I grab the ledge, I don't get electrocuted, and I can skip the entire upper area. So it looks very intimidating, but pretty easy actually. Here's my favorite music of the game. Very heavenly coming out of that dark area. It's just too bad it's interrupted by constant gunfire. Here's a fun little area. You probably don't expect it with this pressure plate, but welcome to anti-gravity. I did a nice little skip called Zet Skip there. If you can't tell, we name things after everyone. So Zet found Zet Skip, and with that, we don't have to press the button a second time, waiting a second gravity cycle. With the gravity, you can't change it off or do anything about it, so once you trigger it, it's on for good, so we only press it as many times as we have to, no more than that. And I'm counting every step here, because when I slide this to its right position, it's gonna be a very tight window to get through this door. There we go, we in dare. And by dare, I mean we're going to the big room. Just the biggest cluster of puzzle mania you've ever seen. Just as in like the tire factory and Big Gear area, just for 2 boxes. Because in the piston in the top right corner, it's just tall enough where we can't climb it. We need 2 boxes, so we jump through the hoops of what's known as the big room. And it looks like I'm abandoning that box, but little do you know, there's a gravity switch up ahead. And not many people are looking at the slope, but I place it so it'll hit that ceiling slope perfectly so it bounces over. This is kind of an old-fashioned method where I run all the way over, but it's very safe. And it's a pretty good box position there. And I just drag it all the way back. There we go. This is a pretty easy piston cycle, but sometimes if you lose a second here or there, you're gonna have to go for what we call a YOLO piston, where you just go for it. Might make it, might ruin the run. But there we go, that's the big room. This is a tough puzzle for beginners, very easy for speedrunners. It's one of those puzzles where I know on my first playthrough, I finally solve it, and then I'm like, why was I so dumb? Because I'm literally hitting the switch twice. But that's kind of the genius of how simple these are. And we're entering an area which I like to call Heart Attack City, because this is where the RNG is. Playing it safe there. No one really knows about the electric H cycle here, but like where it starts or what triggers it. But I'll just play it safe and drop down. We're good. Into the final room of the game. You'd imagine it'd be the toughest, break your back sort of room, but once you make it here, it's all just straight nerves. If you lose the run, it's not because it was hard. It's because you finally get a chance to peek at your timer. You know you've done well the whole run, but if you can just stay calm, you can kind of enjoy it. Now the automatic gravity cycles start, so timing is more important than ever now. It sort of ties everything together, the gun, the magnets, the gravity. We're coming up into the easiest skip of the game. Looks the glitchiest. Just stand by this block. We skip an entire area to the right there. So coming to the final jump. It's amazing when you figure out how this jump works. And I'm just going to let this scene speak to itself. Don't hit the switch on the way up. Hit it at the last possible moment on the way down. Time stops when you hit the glass. Just like bam. And look at that, we're deemed worthy to get out of Limbo. So as you imagine, the game is drawing to a close, but it hasn't ended yet. So why has time stopped? Well, it's because succeeding at that last jump, we're safe now. There's no chance of us dying, so we walk over. What are we gonna find? I don't know. But this was a world record at the point of like 1 year ago or whatever. Alright, he wakes up. Sort of like in the very beginning of the game. I thought he was dead, but he always wakes up in the forest. Are we playing the game over again? Oh, this looks familiar too. There we go. That was our sister. According to the story and my theory, they both died, I think, by falling out of the treehouse, as we see. The girl is mourning the boy's loss. He's making his way through Limbo trying to find her again. And when he does find her, the ladder is fixed. She notices him. We don't know what happens after that, but legend says they climb the ladder out of Limbo. So that's Limbo. And I just want to say thank you for taking this run into consideration for SGDQ. Thanks for watching the run, listening to what I had to say. I hope you enjoyed it.